Okay, in this video we're going to talk about solving inequalities, and that is skill set G in this unit. Now, inequalities you've seen before. They are things like less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So instead of saying a number is equal to something, we can compare them with these signs. Okay? Remembers, teacher along the way probably taught you the alligator eats the bigger number, so the mouth goes to the bigger number. That's a way that you can remember that. Well, to solve these in algebra, there's really just two steps. Step number one is solving the inequality just as you would solve an equation and go through the 5-step process as necessary, depending on how complex the inequality is. And then step number two is if you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality sign. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's go ahead with step number one, and that is solving the inequality just as you would solve an equation. Now I'm still going to extend my line down at the inequality sign because this will still serve as my balancing point. Okay, whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. And my goal is still to get x by itself. All right? So there's no parentheses that I need to eliminate, so I can skip that step. If I look on the left, there's no terms, like terms to combine, and none on the right, so I can skip that step. Moving all the variables to one side, they're already all on the left side. There's no x's over here. So I'm already down to step number 4, where I undo the addition or subtraction on the variable side. I want to eliminate this constant. All right, so since it's a negative 12, I need to undo that by adding 12. So I add 12 to the left and I add it to the right. Okay, that cancels out and I am left with a positive 3x is greater than 33 plus 12 would give me 45. Okay, and then I'm down to that last step of undoing the multiplication by dividing. So I have 3 times x, so I need to divide by 3 to eliminate that, divide this side by 3, and I'm left with x is greater than 15. So x is greater than 15. Then I want to remember step number 2, which says if you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. I divided by a positive 3, so there's nothing left to flip here. So my answer is simply x is greater than 15. That just means that x can be anything bigger than 15. It could be 16, it could be 17, it could be 15.1, 15.02. Anything bigger than 15, if we put that in for x, we will get something that's bigger than 33. Let's look at the second example. On this one, again, my first step is to solve the inequality just as you would an equation. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that sign. That's my balancing point. And on this one, I do need to use the distributive property. So I have negative 2 times 4x. That would give me negative 8x. And then I have a negative 2 times a negative 10. Negative times a negative is a positive. So that's positive 20. So to show positive 20, I put my plus sign in. And then I have my minus 2 is less than or equal to negative 14. Okay. The next step in solving an equation is to combine like terms. So I look on the left side of the equation and I notice I have a 20 and a negative 2. Those terms are alike. So I can rewrite this as negative 8x. And then positive 20 minus 2 would give me a positive 18. So plus 18 is less than or equal to negative 14. Okay, now I am down to the step, move the variables all to one side. They're already all on the left. There's no variable on the right. So then I can undo the addition or subtraction. So since I have the plus 18, I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. and positive 18 and negative 18 cancel out. So I'm left with negative 8x is less than or equal to negative 14 minus 18 would give me a negative 32. Okay, then I'm down to the step where I can undo the multiplication. So this is negative 8 times x, so I'm going to undo that by dividing by negative 8. Divide this side by negative 8 as well. And then I need to remember this step about dividing by a negative number. I just divided by negative 8. So that is a signal to me. I'm going to go with a different color. That's a signal to me that I need to flip this sign. When you divide by a negative number, it switches the sign. So now these 8's cancel out, but I have x is, and instead of less than or equal to, it's going to be greater than or equal to. And then negative 32 divided by negative 8 is a positive 4. Okay? So since dividing by this negative switches the sign of this number over here, we need to switch the sign of the inequality. So we divided by a negative number, we have to switch the sign. Otherwise, solving inequalities is just like solving an equation, as long as you remember that change. Okay, so now you can go ahead, pause the video if you need to finish taking the notes, and then you are ready to practice this with skill set G.